Hush now, child, and don't you cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. Just move on up toward your destination. Though you might find from time to time complications, bite your lip and take a trip. Well, there may be wet roads ahead and you cannot slip. Just move on up, whoa, and peace you find, where there's only one kind. So hush now, child. Hush now, child. Now don't you cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. So move on up and keep on pushing. Remember, your dreams are only your schemes, and you gotta push on. Hey, move on up. Move on up. Ooh, move on up. Here he goes. Woo! Hush now, child, and don't you cry. Your folks might understand you by and by. So move on up to your destination, and then you'll find peace of mind and dedication. Oh, move on up. Ooh, you got to move on up. Hey, move on up. Come on, children, move on up. Mm-hmm. Move on up. Oh, yeah, move on up. Move on up. Oh, move on up. Thank you so much.
Move on up. Hold on to your dreams. This is a good message for the new year. Move on up and hold on to your dreams. But we're a lot of the time trying to move up by trying to have a bunch of things, by trying to have that next greatest, more magnificent thing. And this is really what society has taught us, is that's what it means to move on up. But I'm going to introduce to you a topic today that might help you move on up in consciousness. And then when you are moving on up in the way of being, that everything that you want to have, you already get. So there's an invitation of switching the mindset. I read a story about two neighbors, and there was one neighbor was this wise man, and he moved into this house. It was a small house, and he loved his little house. He was so grateful for his little house, and he had an apple orchard. And his neighbor was this guy who was like super envious of the apple orchard. Now, he had this huge house. I mean, a mansion, magnificent, ornate, beautiful, but he was very envious of this other man. And so what he decided to do is he thought, oh, you know what? I'm going to show that neighbor that he's not welcome here, because he thinks he's all that. He's got the orchard. He's got all that stuff. Have you ever felt like somebody else has all that? Anyway, so he's like, oh my God, I'm going to show him. So he takes all his garbage and he puts it in a little can and he throws it on the porch of the other guy, and then he sneaks away and he's like, I'll show him. And the wise man, he wakes up one day and he's like, I'm gonna start this day. I'm gonna have a good day. I'm gonna have a happy day. I'm gonna be joy today. You know what? I'm gonna be joy and abundance today. Yeah. And then he wakes up and he goes outside this house, and there's this garbage and trash like right in front of his face. And what does he do? He says, oh my God, I have a porch to pick up. I love that I have a porch. I'm so grateful for my porch. And he takes all that trash out and he puts it in a trash can and, puts it in there. And he's just filled with gratitude. Oh, I have a house that I can clean. God, it's been so long. Praise baby Jesus. No, I'm just kidding. And so the man, the vicious neighbor that is very jealous, right? He's envious, and he's like, oh, he sees the other guy coming over, and he's coming over with a trash can, right? He's coming over with a trash can. He's like, oh yeah, I bet he's gonna be like, I showed him. He's not welcome here. And so he comes over with his trash can, and he knocks on the neighbor's door. And the neighbor opens it, and he says, oh, I just want you to know, and he opens the lid of the trash can. He said, I brought all these apples for you from my orchard, and he hands it over. And he said, because what I have, I want to share, and I want you to have what I have. And of course, the neighbor who was envious, he got the apples, and it kind of awakened his heart in a new way. But I wonder if that's how we're being. Are you choosing to be the neighbor who is bitter and upset about what that person has or what they're doing? And your conversation or your words revolve around how they have that and I don't? Or are you being the neighbor that wakes up and says, how can I be joy today? How can I share the abundance that I have in the world? We all have a choice. And our choices make an impact on everybody around us. I mean, we're in like an organism. We're in a human organism where each person is a little cell, like a cell in the body, and we all operate and affect each other. What is your effect going to be? We had this amazing theme this month of Boldy going, bold beginnings, bold beginnings. And last week, I had an invitation to you to think about what resentments you might have, or who do you still blame, or what are you ashamed of, and giving you the opportunity to leave that behind you and starting fresh with a clean slate. And even asking yourself the question of, if there's boulders in my road to happiness, what caused those boulders? Did I cause it? Did I contribute to it? Did I allow it? And reflecting on those questions as opportunities to step forward into being different out into the world and taking ownership of our own lives. And this week, we're focusing more on how to be instead of trying to have that thing that we want. Now, a lot of New Year's resolutions revolve around that having. They, oh, my New Year's resolution is to have that perfect body, or I'm going to have that relationship, or I'm going to have that perfect house. And you're focusing on the have. And that's okay. I mean, that's kind of how society taught me to look at how I do things in life. But maybe there's another way that works even better. There was a professor, and the professor invited all of his grad students over, and it was early in the morning. And first thing in the morning, the grad students are like, please tell me you have coffee. please tell me you have coffee. And he said, oh, of course I have coffee. He had made some amazing coffee. And by the way, I had a coffee reference last week too. I think I'm really digging the coffee thing right now. So, I found my people. Yes, I see you. And so he brought out all of his different types of cups and mugs he had. He had these really ornate teacups, right? These really ornate ones, and some made out of crystal, and some made out of ceramics, and some that were just like a glass coffee cup. And he put them all out. And the grad students went in, and they, poured the coffee slowly and walked over, and they picked up the cup. And he went from the other room, and he went into the kitchen, and he looked at what was left over. And he noticed that all the cups that were left over were all the plain and ordinary ones, and all the cups that were taken were all the fancy, smancy ones. Of course, I want that cup. I want this cup. And he pointed it out to his grad students. He said, it's interesting because everybody looked at the cup. But what really matters here is the coffee. And you all know that, right? Ever had crappy coffee? It doesn't matter how pretty the cup is, but woof, give me the good stuff. Give me the good coffee. But that's an analogy for our lives, is we want a quality of life that is joy-filled and peaceful and loving, and yet we're looking at the cup. The cup is that house. The cup is that ideal body. That cup is that thing, when really what we're seeking is what's inside. But we weren't taught that way. I wasn't taught that way, at least. I was taught that I need to have in order to do, in order to be. That's what I was taught. Have, do, be. And there's something really beautiful like the coffee. When you get really good quality coffee, there's like a richness to it. And the same thing is our inside inherent way of being, which is our God-given qualities. There's a richness to it. And whenever I'm tapped into my God qualities, my God sense of being, then automatically it doesn't matter what's on the outside, because the richness of my experience on the inside surpasses everything else. And that's what I want to invite you to tap into, is to tap into the richness. And all of these qualities are synonyms for God. For instance, life, love, peace, harmony, joy. These are like facets of God, how God expresses in this form is it expresses through us as those things. That's how it is creating itself in and through us on this planet right now. And it's our opportunity to tap into something that's already there. It's like it's not that I have to look somewhere for joy, that you can't find joy anywhere outside of you. You can't. It starts within. And all of those qualities that we already have are qualities that the infinite universe is calling for us to express outwardly. We have to be that first in order to express it in life. So I was taught by society, right, when I have enough money, when I have the right relationship, when I have my perfect house, when I have that body, I'll be able to do the things that I want to do. When I have that healthy, well body, I'll be able to do all this stuff. Whenever I have all this money, finally, I'll be able to quit my job and do what I want to do. When I have, right, so it's the have is the first thing. And then I get to do the thing that I want to do. And then whenever I do the thing that I want to do, I get to be the thing that I've been seeking of being. And it started early for me, and I can't say my parents taught me this. I feel like they didn't teach it to me. I feel like this was just kind of in the consciousness of society that I was brought up here in America. It might be different in other countries. And I knew that like if I had a high school diploma, right? I want to have my high school diploma. If I have my high school diploma, then I'll be able to do all the things to get me into college, right? Because I want to have that college thing. So I go for the high school diploma, and whenever I get to college, I'll be happy, right? And then I got the high school diploma, this isn't everybody's story, but this could be yours. And then I get to be in college, and then in order to be in college, I know I have to get that degree, and so I have to do all this work to get to the degree, because whenever I get the degree, I'll be happy. And then whenever I get to that degree, then I might want that job, right? And then so I'm going to go for I have to get that job, and I keep seeking. I go to the have to do, and I never get to the be. It's the job, and then the relationship. If I have the perfect relationship, I'll finally be happy. If I have, the kids in the relationship, I'll finally be happy. I'm sure that worked out for a lot of you. No, I'm just kidding. But it's like that thing, it will never make the happy. It will never do that, because you're seeking that thing outward instead of seeking the thing inward first. So I want to invite you to switch up your mentality this year. And maybe you've done this before, but maybe you've forgotten. And look at this new year as, who do I want to be? What is this year's theme? What is it about? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? Now, last year, my focus was on health and well-being. And this year, it's like, I just want to be joy. I just want to be joy, because I feel like I was searching for all that health and well-being, which, by the way, I found. I'm feeling very magnificent because I fell in love with my body, which doesn't happen very often. But once I fall in love with my body, I'm just happy with being, because I found the love here first. And this year, it's like, well, if I find the joy within, well, what would I do? If I am being joy, what would I do? And I've asked that in a lot of other talks. Sometimes people have lack of clarity in their life, and I say, well, what would love do? If you're in the situation, it's a contentious situation with your family or your friends, or, I'd say, what would love do? But really, that's an aspect of God. What would the God in me as love, how would I be that expression in doing? And that guides all my actions. And here I am in joy. If I'm in joy, what would that cause me to do? How would that cause me to be? And I picked that theme before. It kind of resonated with me in a way where I thought, no, this is it. I'm reclaiming my joy. I'm just like taking it on. I'm reclaiming it. And then my friend on December 15th got her diagnosis. And in 2 weeks, she passed away on December 30th. And here I am like, I'm going to reclaim joy. And people think, joy means I'm like dancing around, which I am dancing around. But joy for me, whenever I am in joy and I'm grieving because I'm sad, and I can be in that sad space. I can feel the heaviness on my heart and in my body. But what is joy in that space? I am so grateful. I am so grateful moment by moment by moment. And it's hard to experience and process my grief because it comes through in tears. It comes through in ways that people don't affiliate with joy. But you know what? It's because I loved that person so much that I enjoyed who she was. And because of her, I'm choosing to take this moment to love all of you and to look into your eyes and to be so grateful that I get to be here in community, that I get to be surrounded by people who are conscious individuals who are interested in improving themselves and loving more deeply and more profoundly. It's like, I see you. I see you in the back row. I see you. I see you online. You know? I see you. And that's what joy is for me. It's like hearing that bird sing when it's raining outside. And I see it and I feel it profoundly. And it doesn't matter on the outside what's going on, but it's how I feel in the inside that makes the world of difference. And so I ask you, who are you going to be this year? And maybe you can write that as part of your intention. I'm going to be the expression of joy. And that means sometimes I'm going to listen to music and I'm going to dance in my car. And I don't care if all those people and I'm in stop traffic and everybody's all grumpy. I'm going to just be dancing in my car, doing my groove, waving at you out the window. And they're like, ah, yeah, that's right. I got my groove on. That's just how I'm going to roll because I'm claiming the joyfulness in life. I'm claiming it. And the way that you start in this being is that you say yes to it. You say yes, and it starts with you. You know, in the Bible it says, seek ye first the kingdom and all else shall be given unto you. Well, this is the kingdom. This is it. When you're seeking first the kingdom, when I'm seeking those qualities of God and I am being them on this planet, everything that I do is in alignment with that truth. And whenever I do that, I get to have everything that I want. But I have to be in that state first. And the crazy thing is you have to be it first before you see it. You get to be it first and then see it. I get to be abundance and then I see it. I get to be love and then I see it. I get to be well-beingness and then I see it. I get to be that sense of peace, and then I see it. That's where it starts. It starts in the sense of beingness first. We get to be the cause. Why does life happen? Why is life happening to me? Because I am. And I get to be at cause in my life. So everybody else, whenever things are looking in the state of, I want to have, you're having life due to you instead of you doing to life. And so if you want to shift into a way of mastery, shift into a sense of beingness. And you might not even know what that looks like. It might be a great opportunity to journal around it. Some people say, oh, well, I want to be happy. Well, happiness it goes, but joy is inherent. There was a news article, 1968, talked about this guy who wrote in Richardson, Texas, this man named Bud Crew. I feel like that's a Texas name. Sorry, Texans, but Bud Crew. He had Bud's Tool Cribs in Richardson, Texas, and he wrote a Lao Tzu quote. The Lao Tzu quote is, "The way to do is to be." See, Chinese philosophers, they had this ancient wisdom down millennia ago. The way to do is to be. So he wrote that on his warehouse wall. And somebody else came in, some worker at the warehouse, and they were like, you know what, I'm going to quote Dale Carnegie. And underneath his quotes, they write, "The way to be is to do." And then somebody else was like, oh, I'm going to get this. I'm going to do a quote from Frank Sinatra. Doobie doobie doo. Now, I know Frank Sinatra, he had a lot of things right, but unfortunately, he had that all backwards. So the truth of the matter is, we have some sacred, wise sages of our era that I put on a pedestal. They are our minions. And they say, be-do, be-do, be-do. See, the minions are where it's at. Be, then do, be, then do, be, then do. See? We're getting these messages everywhere. You just got to pay attention. I was thinking, when I was writing this talk, I was thinking of India Arie, and there's a song that she has called There's Hope. And I love the lyrics from the song. If you haven't heard it, you really need to look it up. But anyway, she says, off in the back country of Brazil, I met a young brother that made me feel that I could accomplish anything. You see, just like me, he wanted to sing. He had no windows and no doors. He lived a simple life, and he was extremely poor. On top of all of that, he had no eyesight. But that didn't keep him from seeing the light. He said, what's it like in the USA? And she said, all I did was complain. He said, living here is paradise. She said, he taught me that paradise is in your mind. And I love that because it's not just in our mind, it's in our heart, it's in our being. We take it wherever we go. And that blind kid in Brazil, he already had it. He already had it. He knew the sense of beingness out in the world. And he awakened India Arie to her own sense of beingness. So I wonder if this is a year of awakening, if this is a year of reclaiming that which we think we have lost. I felt like I lost my joy, or I lost my peace, I lost my love. Well, truly, we can't lose any of that, but we can reclaim it for ourselves, for this year, for our country, for our community, for our world. And it starts with us first. I found these words written on the tomb of an Anglican bishop in Westminster Abbey. And he said, when I was young and free, my imagination had no limits. I dreamed of changing the world. Anybody have that sound familiar? It's just me, okay. As I grew older and wiser, I discovered the world would not change, so I shortened my sights and decided to change only my country. But it too seemed immovable. I grew into my twilight years, and one last desperate attempt, I settled for only changing my family, which did not go well. Nobody else has tried to change their family in here, I can see. And then he said, and now as I lie on my deathbed, I suddenly realized, if I had only changed my life first, if I had only changed me first, then by example, I would have had an effect on my family. But instead, I asked them to change. And he said, if I had changed me first, then I know that from the inspiration of my family and friends around me, that perhaps I might have made an impact on my community, and I might have made an impact on my country, and then I might have made an impact on my world. But alas, I forgot to change me. So that is the invitation for you to take on yourself, to take on your world by taking on how you are being. Because peace doesn't happen when we're in war. Peace only happens when I stand in peace. War doesn't create peace. It never will. Hate will never create love. Anger will never create joy. But being a peaceful person in the midst of war, that will have an effect. Being a place where love shows up when people have forgotten, that makes a difference. Being that neighbor who is the place where generosity shows up, that's where people change. So who are you going to be this year? Be the place. Be the world. Be the place where you want to see happen in the world. Mahatma Gandhi knew where it was at. In order to start a movement, you have to start a movement within yourself. And then everything else happens. So ask yourself, have I lived in the have, do, be mindset? And if I have, how is it working? And if it hasn't been working, what would it look like to be in the be, do, have mindset? If I'm living from a sense of unworthiness, what would it be if I claimed and knew my worthiness and I shared it with others? If I had a desire in this world, an out there thing, what is that inherent sense of being that will lead to that thing? And then oftentimes, just like the cup of coffee, it doesn't even matter if you get it because you're already there. So take this truth and ask yourself those questions and be the place where God shows up this year. Because you are the hands and feet of the divine. You were created for this very thing. And I welcome you home to who you are. And so it is. Let's pray. To all the people who have passed on this last year, I say to you, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the way you have caused my heart to open up. I'm grateful for all the gifts and the laughter and the joy and the connection that you caused in my life. And now I'm going to be that cause for others. I'm so grateful to know that this is a day where I create a world of opportunity because God's infinite potentiality springs through this entire universe in and through and as my life right now. Every possibility is available. And so I choose to stand in the place of being joy. I choose that. And I know that the infinite presence of the universe flows through me as this joy, and it uplifts me, it awakens me to that inherent sense of beingness so that when I go out in the world, I can't help but be that contagion of joy. I can't help but be that contagion of love. I can't help but be that contagion of peace. And while other people think that other things are contagious, I am the most powerful contagion in the universe, which is the universe itself. It loves itself so much that it gave its only begotten love as us right now. And so I claim that divine authority and I claim that life for myself and for each and every person who is here. I claim and know that something different shows up. And I love it and I uplift it and I allow it and I am the flow that it happens in my life. And I know that whenever I claim that joy, when I claim that love, when I claim that peace as my life, that all of the troubles get cleared away. And only that is where I stand. And that's what I see, and that's what I know, and that's the glee that's inside of me that helps me be so spectacularly, fabulous, and wonderfully, magnificently inspired to live a life of reverie, to live a life of joy for me, to live a life where I can be fully me. And I'm so grateful to claim that truth for myself and for each and every person here, and to know that without a doubt, this is God saying yes to itself as life through me. And so I surrender to it, and I allow it. I rest in it. I accept it. I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful for the gratitude that allows me to be free right here and now as me. And so it is.